What's up guys, this is Joel with Car Thoughts, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 budget supercars that no one is talking about. These cars have not only insane speed, but you can get them all for under $100,000. You'll be gapping cars that cost 2 to 3 times as much, and no, we're not talking about a C8 Corvette, GTR, or a BMW i8. Everyone and their mom loves to talk about these. And be sure to stick to the end because the last two will blow your mind. Coming in at number 1, the car we are talking about is a literal 4-door supercar, the Mercedes AMG GT63S. Now I know what you guys are thinking, how is this boat of a car even going to be fast? Or can it even be put in a supercar category? This thing weighs 4,700 pounds, but it has a 0 to 60 of 2.6 seconds. It comes with 630 horsepower, and you can find them for around 80 to 90k. This is one of the fastest Mercedes ever produced at the moment. It has a turbocharged V8 under the hood, which is common for AMG cars, but Mercedes just knows how to work their magic. It's an absolute monster from the factory and can seat up to 5 people. So just tell your wife you're getting a fancy family car and she will be happy to know that you're able to drop off the kids an hour early and even drop her off to work at light speed. At number 2, we got the 2022 Jaguar FType R. You can find these for around 65 to 80k. Jaguar did it right with this car. It comes with a supercharged 5.0 liter V8 and 576 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 3.5 seconds, which isn't bad at all. This car just screams supercar on the road, whether you want to consider it one or not. I really think they made the right decision with the front end of this car, and it sounds amazing too. The interior is also phenomenal, and it even looks a lot better than supercars twice the price. Another cool fact is that the older Jaguar SVR actually got rated as having the best sounding stock exhaust a couple of years ago. At number 3, we got the McLaren MP412C. I know what you guys are thinking. What McLaren can you get under 100k? Well, let me tell you, you can get these things for a steal. You can find them for 80k to 100k with about 20 to 40,000 miles. But here's the thing, it is a McLaren. These cars aren't known for their reliability and can have some electrical issues, but I'd recommend getting one that has been driven and doesn't just sit there in the garage, because that seems to be the car's worst enemy. They like to break when they aren't being driven regularly. It also has a 0 to 60 of 2.9 seconds and 600 horsepower. And let's not forget about the butterfly doors. This car is quite the bargain for an entry-level supercar that can even be a modern-day supercar with its twin turbocharged V8. At number 4, we got a car you probably didn't even expect, a Lexus. But not just any Lexus, the Lexus LC500. This car is so overlooked due to the fact that it's just a Lexus, and there's not that many Lexus enthusiasts out there. This car literally looks like a spaceship and can even be seen as a supercar any day. The front end and back end of the car look futuristic. The interior of the car looks like it's straight out of a UFO, and I can confidently say it has the best interiors out of any car on this list. Lexus puts tons of effort and thought into the design quality of their cars, so this one will most likely outlast them all. The only downside about this car is that it doesn't really have supercar performance. Although it has 471 horsepower, it's a heavy car at 4,500 pounds, so the 0 to 60 is 4.4 seconds, which isn't too shabby. But for a car that costs 60 to 80k, I'd expect a little bit more. But to be honest, who really buys this car for performance? It's more of like a luxury coupe that has just enough power to enjoy the car, all while floating in a spaceship. Next at number 5, we got some American power, the 2008 Dodge Viper SR10. This thing comes with a huge 8.4 liter V10 with 600 horsepower. It has a 0 to 60 of 3.7 seconds. You can find these for 75 to 90k in really good condition. These also come in manual, so this one has to be one of the most fun cars on this list. But sadly, they don't make these cars anymore. These cars are really rare, and you can hardly ever see them on the road. And it's actually very rare they're not clapped out. Although this car is over 15 years old, you can easily keep up with newer performance vehicles like the BMW M cars or Mercedes AMGs. At number 6, we got a combo. Have you ever wanted to be the guy who said he has a Ferrari but doesn't have Ferrari money? Then you can get yourself either a Ferrari 348 or a Ferrari 360. Both these cars range from 50 to 90k in good condition. I do believe that these cars are going to turn into collection cars because their values seem to be rising. They aren't fast whatsoever. The 360 on a good day has a 0 to 60 of 4.6 seconds, while the 348 has one of 5.8 seconds. And honestly, who doesn't like a classic Ferrari? Not to mention the 348 came with a 5-speed manual transmission. Just make sure that you have some money saved up for any repairs or maintenance. These are supercars after all, so you're going to require some supercar money. Next at number 7, probably one of the best bargains out there, a first generation Audi R8 or the 2008 to 2012 models. These cars have gone down as a classic supercar and is not only fast but affordable. They're also starting to appreciate in value, and you can find them for $52,000 to $80,000. You can either get the one with the V8 or the V10. The V8 has 430 horsepower, while the V10 has 560 horsepower. If you get the V10 model, you're going to get a 0 to 60 of 3.5 seconds, while the V8 is closer to to 5 seconds. But I got a question for y'all. Would you take the first gen Audi R8 or would you take a C8 Corvette? Honestly, I would have to go with the C8 due to the upgraded technology and the body design, and it's a whole lot faster since it has a 0 to 60 of 2.9 seconds with a little less than 500 horsepower, which is pretty insane. You guys might hate me for that, but I'm just putting that out there. At number 8, did you know that you can get an Aston Martin for under 100K? And no, I'm not talking about the Vantage. I'm talking about the Aston Martin DB11 with a V12. These cars produce 630 horsepower and have a 0 to 60 of 3.5 seconds. I've seen the 2017 models go for 80 to 100K. It looks like a spaceship on the road and has a classic interior that the Aston Martin loves to keep throughout all their vehicles. So if you're trying to look like James Bond and have the glorious symphony of the V12, here you go. Coming in at number 9, we got another combo, the 2020 Lotus Evora and the 2024 Lotus Emera. The Lotus Evora has 412 horsepower with a 0 to 60 of 3.8 seconds. You can find these cars for around 70 to 80K, and although they aren't the fastest thing out there, that's still plenty of power to enjoy on the back roads. The new Lotus Emera is also a great option, and you'll be spending a little over $100,000 to get one, but what's crazy is that it's actually slower than the Evora by 0.4 seconds, and it has 400 horsepower. In terms of performance, it's a little disappointing, but they definitely outdid themselves with the looks of the car. It almost looks like a Porsche and a Ferrari had a baby. And lastly, at number 10, we got the 2018 Mercedes AMG GTS. The fact that you can even find this car for 60 to 80K is actually mind-boggling to me considering how this car looks, and how close it looks to the AMG GT R, which costs twice as much. It has a twin-turbo V8 that puts out 577 horsepower. It also has a 0 to 60 of 3.9 seconds, and the interior of these cars is pretty standard for what you find in other AMG cars. All you gotta do is throw on a bigger wing on this car and it'll look even more insane. The only downside I would say is the power, which I mean it's over 4,300 pounds, and looks wise it screams supercar. But if you wanted to get another AMG coupe that is a whole second faster, I mean just get the AMG one. It's only $2.7 million and it's probably the best budget supercar out there. And those are the top 10 budget supercars that no one is talking about right now. Be sure to like the video and let us know what we left out, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.